everybody, it's Camille Martin with Love to Lose, and this is where I teach you how to love your life and lose the weight. A few years ago, I did something I thought I would never do, and that is go skydiving. How it came about is that I was sitting with my then husband and a few of our friends, and we were talking about our bucket lists. In other words, if you don't know what that is, it's 100 things that you want to do in your lifetime before you die. And we were talking about the things on our list, and somebody asked, is there anything that you did not put on your list because you're too afraid to do it? And I said immediately, yes, go skydiving. I would never do that. I'd rather give a speech in front of 10,000 people than jump out of an airplane. And everyone agreed that that would be the single most terrifying thing that you could ever do. So after a few glasses of wine, we all decided that if we were that afraid of it, it's something that we probably needed to do. And so the next day we signed up to go skydiving, and much to the horror of my mother, who was afraid that we were gonna orphan her 2-year-old granddaughter. But anyway, we did it. We all went skydiving, and I have to say, it was the most terrifying but exhilarating, thrilling experience of my entire life. I will also tell you that it was a lot easier to jump out of an airplane than it is or was for me to get up off the couch and go for a 1-mile run when I don't feel like it. And if you don't believe me, it is totally true. And in today's video, I'm gonna tell you why and why that matters. The energy you generate by setting and achieving a really big goal, something that stretches you and puts you out of your comfort zone, is enough to actually help you achieve that goal. On the other hand, the inertia you feel and that I don't feel like it feeling that you have when you're trying to do something that's small, a small goal you set for yourself, is what stops you in your tracks, and it's not enough to even achieve that small goal. And the reason why that is because you have failed so many times in the past in actually achieving these smaller goals that it drains your confidence. It makes you feel like you can't do it. It gives you that feeling of, what difference does it make? Nothing ever changes. But I want to tell you that by setting and achieving a much bigger goal, you actually get all of those other smaller goals thrown in. What you need is the confidence to actually be brave enough to set a big goal. And sadly, that is lacking in someone like me a long time ago who has failed over and over again and who's made all of these promises to herself that have been broken over and over again. So how do you get the confidence when you feel low on confidence to set a big goal, to actually go there and believe that maybe it's possible for you? In the video today, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that, and it's super important that you listen to this and that you take it to heart, because otherwise you're going to start dumbing yourself down to a level that is so far beneath your capabilities that it's almost laughable. And actually, it's not laughable. It's critical, it's heartbreaking, it's devastating to me to think that there's anyone out there, and there are so many of us, because I was one of those people who is not going for her full potential and achieving what she's capable of. So as I said, when you start setting your bar lower and lower, you're staying far below what you're actually capable of. And the worst part about this is that you start to believe that you're somebody that you're not. You start to buy into a ton of limiting beliefs that just frankly aren't true. Things like, well, I'm in menopause, so it's harder to lose weight. I'm menopausal, or I'm too old to set and achieve a goal. That's not for me, it's too late. Or I'm a mom and I'm busy and I don't have time to change my habits or go for a big goal. And all of these beliefs, these identities that we cling to, are simply not true. So in order for you to break out of this really, truly dangerous rut, you need a massive dose of energy. And thankfully, it's not as hard as you might think to get it. You definitely don't have to jump out of an airplane to get it. So I'm gonna give you 5 simple steps you can take today to start getting you closer to achieving that energy and that momentum you need to actually set a big goal and then set about achieving it. Step number 1 is to visualize your ideal self. We hear a lot about visualization, and that's because it works. So I've said this over and over again, but it's really important. Go somewhere quiet, take at least 30 minutes to yourself, bring a journal if that helps, and visualize what it would be like to be the best version of you that you could think of. And that doesn't just mean someone who weighs, 10, 20, 30 pounds less than you do now. It doesn't mean having the perfect body, although having a lean, toned body can be part of that. Really visualize who you are. What kind of a person are you? How are you living your life? Where are you living? What are you doing? What are you wearing? Think about all of these things and really go there, because the more you can visualize your ideal self, the easier it is to take steps to become that person. Step number 2 is to question everything, especially conventional wisdom. Is it true that you're too busy to set and achieve a big goal? Is it true that in menopause it's hard to lose weight, or that you can't lose weight? Is it true that you can't start a very successful business in your 40s or 50s and actually make it happen for yourself? None of these things are true unless you believe them to be true. And also, what if your limiting belief is not only not true, but what if the opposite is true? What if you could get into the best shape of your life in menopause or later? What if you can be a busy mom, but that can also help you be ultra productive and even more of an achiever because of the fact that you are so busy? What if it's not only possible to start a business in your 40s and 50s, but also to become so wildly successful that you even astound yourself? And by the way, all of these things are possible because other people have done them. And I don't know if you know this, but Julia Child did not start cooking until she was in her late 30s. And Vera Wang didn't make her first wedding dress until she was in her 40s. So make sure to question everything, because whatever you believe to be true is what shapes your reality. Step number 3 is to change your language. You have to watch what you say. And interestingly, there are 2 selves competing for your attention in your mind. There's your average self and there's your ideal self. But the cool thing about it is that it's easy to spot which one is talking, because your average self tends to say I and also speak in these long sentences like, I could never do that. I just don't know if it's possible for me to do something like that. I really don't feel like it right now. You can hear it on and on. Your ideal self, however, is more likely to say you, like a coach would say, you got this. You've got what it takes. And the coach version, or the ideal version of yourself, speaks in those really short, powerful sentences that give you a great message. So pay attention to what you're saying to yourself and actively change that language. When you hear yourself saying, your average self, saying, I don't feel like it, stop her in her tracks and say, yes, you can do this. You've got this. And just, make sure you listen to that. And it's also very helpful, I think, to give your ideal self some mantras to use. And so you can pick something that feels really powerful to you, that gets your attention, and you can give it to your ideal self to say to you just when you need it most. Step number 4, this is super easy and obvious, but take action, especially when you don't feel like it. And the cool thing about this one is that you don't have to take a big action. You don't have to go out the door and run 5 miles. Taking any action, even a tiny action, doing something that you don't feel like doing, gives you that boost of energy and blasts you out of that inertia that I was talking about earlier. So go unload the dishwasher, make your bed, fold the laundry, call someone that you've been meaning to call but you don't really feel like it. These little actions train you to get in the habit of taking action when you don't feel like doing something, and it makes you just feel energetic and productive. And that's the opposite of sitting around saying, I don't feel like it, and then taking no action. Step number 5, double your efforts. What I mean by this is take the max of what you can do now, add 10% to it, and then double it. Yes, you heard that right. And let me give you an example from my own life. Recently, I had gotten to the point where I could only do about 30 push-ups on my knees, which is sort of embarrassing for me. And what I did was I added 10% to that. I thought, if that's all I can do, maybe I'll add 5 to 7 more push-ups. I'll try for 40. And then I was like, you know what? That's kind of BS and that's kind of lame. Why don't you just do 100 push-ups? Something that I thought I couldn't do. And that was actually more than double. And you know what I did? I got on my knees and I did those 100 push-ups, and they were the ugliest, most pathetic looking push-ups that you ever saw toward the end, but I got them done. And what that did was that broke me straight out of that, I could do 30, maybe I could do 40. And it's like, set the bar higher than you think you can go. And you will literally surprise yourself at what you're actually capable of. And you don't have to even get to that double goal, but what it does is when you shoot for here, you usually get here, and that's way better than here, which is where you were. Now you have a new baseline to operate from, and once you get yourself into the habit of doing this, it becomes easier and easier, and then you keep challenging yourself, and that's what helps you start to just get a sense of your true potential. And now for some bonus points, I want you to think of something that is truly terrifying for you, and then I want you to go do it. I challenge you to do that one thing. Go to a Toastmasters meeting and give a speech. Write something and publish it online. Start your own blog. Apply for a job. Go on the job interview. Call someone that you really need to have a conversation with, but you don't want to do it, but you know you need to. Or take a trip by yourself. All of these things that are so terrifying give you the most massive dose of energy, and that is exactly what you need if you're trying to achieve these little tiny goals and have been failing over and over again. The day I went skydiving, I created a new identity for myself. I went from someone who thought that's something I could never do, that I was terrified of doing it, and I acted in the face of fear. I became someone who felt unstoppable. And that's what I want for you. It's so critically important that you create a new identity for yourself. And you're never going to do that if you don't stretch yourself and push yourself out of your comfort zone. So I really hope that you will use these 5 strategies and tips, and also do the bonus points exercise, because I want you to know who you are and who you're capable of being. And I've got news for you. When you start acting to the level of your potential, weight loss is not just possible, it is inevitable. I really hope this video helped you, and I hope you'll share it with a friend who needs to hear these words of wisdom and shake up her own life and start living according to who she's capable of being. If you haven't already done so, please head over to my website and get signed up for my weekly newsletter, where you will get tips, inspiration, and motivation on your weight loss journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you here next time on Love to Lose.